morning for the new strategies and economic development. I'll introduce our panel here. On my far right, Jenny Kuderer. And Jenny is a community account manager for WEDC, and that's the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. She's also a home county person growing up in the Ashton area. Jenny? Next to her is Marvin Wonders. And Marvin is the executive director, and hold this up if I'm going to read and talk into the microphone. Marvin is executive director of Outdoor Recreation Alliance. It's a 360 Real Estate Solutions LLC, which oversees the day-to-day business operations of multiple ownership entities that he's involved in. Moving on, Julie Keeney, executive director of the Lanesboro, Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. She's in her 10th year serving as executive director there. And our final panelist, Scott Wall. Scott is president of the Bank of Ashton and also of the Ashton Development Corporation. Okay, that's our panel. Our first presenter, I'll tell you a little bit about economic development, and that it is not just about attracting new businesses. It's about making our communities even better places to live, because we know businesses want to grow where their employees will be happy and healthy. On this panel, we will hear from people who are pushing the boundaries of traditional economic development. Whether that means community wellness programs, silent sports, tourism, or brownfield redevelopment. Our panelists will share with you the projects they're working on that make their communities great places to live and do business. Our first panelist will be Jenny Kuderer. Jenny is a community account manager with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, WEDC. In this capacity, she works with communities throughout southwest Wisconsin on a wide variety of community and economic development initiatives, and is also WEDC's contact for emergency assistance efforts. She has over 10 years' experience in community and economic development, holds a bachelor's degree in economics and public administration from UW-La Crosse, and a master's of business admin from Viterbo University. Jennifer Kuderer.
Thanks, Bernie. That introduction is always a little strange to me. Whenever I'm back home, I feel like I should be 14 when my mom served on the Tourism and Economic Development Committee, and I would tag along with her to meetings sometimes. So it's a little strange to be all grown up and be back here. But thanks for the opportunity to be here today. I did prepare a few slides, and I'll probably kind of roughly follow them. So I'll just kind of let you go through those as I kind of talk more off the cuff. I am with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, or WEDC. WEDC is what was the former Wisconsin Department of Commerce. In 2011, as many of you may know, we became the public-private partnership that is WEDC, part of the Be Bold initiative and Governor Walker's agenda to create the 250,000 new jobs in 4 years and have a much more robust, much more responsive approach to economic development. WEDC, just kind of in a nutshell, and one of my colleagues, Mark Rodoreese, will be in the next panel, I believe, and then of course the governor will talk more about our organization, I'm sure, a little later today. But we do have 4 divisions. We have an entrepreneurship and innovation division that very much focuses on new business creation, startups, innovation, all of those things. We have an international division, as Secretary Plett talked about. International tourism is huge. Exports and attracting foreign direct investment is also a very important piece of our economic development efforts. We also have a business and industry division, which focuses very heavily on the industry clusters that we know are very important to our economy, tourism and recreation being one of them, manufacturing, healthcare, the water cluster, the paper and forest industry, et cetera, et cetera. I am pleased to work in what is called our Economic and Community Development Division. And in my role, I am the Community Account Manager for 14 counties of southwest Wisconsin. I did not leave the area, did not move to Madison. I actually work out of an office in La Crosse. I should say I have an office in La Crosse. I'm on the road about 3,000 miles a month, so I don't see that office very much. But it's a great opportunity to get out into our communities and really work on a variety of initiatives. My position is actually newly created in the WEDC. It was not a position that existed in Commerce. As part of our strategic plan, the Be Bold study that kind of was the basis for WEDC's formation and our follow-on strategic plan, community development was really cited as one of the focuses that we wanted to have. We know that it's not all just about trying to bring in companies and grow companies, that we need to make sure that our communities are stable, growing, that they're robust, and that we're really focusing on that as well. So my position was really created in response to that. So just want to talk a little bit about some of the programs that we offer. Kind of from the financial resource perspective, I'll probably just touch on these more briefly. And then I want to talk more really about the kind of technical assistance programs that we have to offer, and one in particular that I'm very excited about, particularly for my hometown, and hopefully some of other communities in Monroe County and throughout southwest Wisconsin and throughout the state in the coming years. So from a financial program perspective, these are the kind of the main programs that I work with. Brownfield redevelopment, cleanup and taking care of contaminated sites is something that has been a focus of the Department of Commerce, of course the DNR and other state agencies as well, for a number of years. So I work very closely with communities, sometimes individual property owners, that kind of depends on what the situation is, to take a look at properties that may be contaminated in a community, take a look at doing the assessment of what's there, what is it going to take to get that cleaned up, and how do we get that done. There are some grant dollars to help with the assessment. That's kind of for those of you that know environmental, phase 1, phase 2, the geoprobes, things like that. So that's a program that can be very helpful to communities. Once we've identified that a property may be contaminated, maybe an old gas station, an old manufacturing facility, etc., that has contamination underground, we have some grant dollars that are available through our Brownfield program to be able to help with the environmental remediation, actually taking care of those soil or groundwater contamination issues. Really with the idea that if we can get those properties cleaned up, bring them back to a clean state, we hope to spur redevelopment in our communities. Many of our communities, redevelopment is as important as a new greenfield development. So focusing on our downtowns and kind of the core of our communities is critical in a lot of cases, and those programs can very much be helpful. The other big program that I work with is our Community Development Block Grant program, specifically for public facilities. This is a program that there are federal dollars that come to us as the state, and we have very specific criteria that we can use them for. Without going into a lot of detail, the majority of them need to be used to benefit low to moderate income populations, either because a community is considered low to moderate income, or it has to do with job creation and helping with public infrastructure, typically water, sewer, streets. We do some things with libraries, fire stations, projects like that in qualifying communities. A couple of projects here in the county that I've been involved in, just in the past year that I have been on board. We were able to give about a $500,000 grant to the village of Cashton to help with some infrastructure in the energy park out on the edge of town. Also, Kendall recently received some funding for some public works projects. So the governor will probably talk a little bit more about that, so I won't steal the thunder there. But like I said, I know we're on a tight time, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about the kind of some of the technical assistance that we can offer, and really kind of one of my favorite things in my position. We have and have had with the Department of Commerce and WEDC for a number of years the Wisconsin Main Street program. The Main Street program is really a technical assistance program. We have a 3-person Main Street staff based out of our Madison office. And the Main Street approach is really based on the National Trust for Historic Preservation's 4-point approach to creating a successful Main Street. The 4-point approach includes organization, includes marketing or promotion, also economic restructuring or your economic development efforts, as well as design. The organization has to focuses on having an organization to actually carry out the mission of helping your downtown be strong, helping revitalize your downtown, helping grow your downtown, kind of whatever stage your community might be at. Promotion has to do with creating successful events, creating successful marketing, creating events that draw people into the downtown of your community, all of those sorts of things that we're familiar with. Design has to do with what is the appropriate look of our buildings. Do we want to, what kind of signage is appropriate? What kind of window displays are appropriate? Is it appropriate to have neon signs? Or are we going for a more historic feel in our downtown where we want to have signage and facades that work with that? Also, of course, your public infrastructure in terms of your streets, your streetscaping, your landscaping, flowers, all of those sorts of things. Economic restructuring, that's the pillar of the Main Street approach that has to do with creating the right business mix. The market analysis, looking at what is your business mix in your downtown, what can we attract to our downtown, what's missing, what do we want our downtown to be, kind of that visioning and looking forward. So this is a program, again, that has existed for a number of years. To be part of the Main Street programs, communities do need to apply. For communities that are over a certain size, it does require that they have a full-time executive director in place. We require quite a bit of participation in the program. However, we offer a lot of services that come then to our Main Street communities. I believe there are about 30 communities throughout the state that are currently in the Main Street program. The list on the screen is just some of the services that we offer to our Main Street communities. What I'm more excited to talk about today is a new initiative that we have that we're very excited about, and we're just really in the infancy stages of it, is our Connect Communities program. The Connect Communities program, like I said, has kind of just been born, if you will. And really, we have felt for a number of years that there are many communities across the state that could very much benefit from some of the services that we offer to our Main Street communities. Communities that have great little downtowns with lots of potential, some of them at different stages of revitalization or development, but we really wanted to be able to offer some of those services that we offer to our Main Street communities, but yet understand that not all communities can sustain a full-time executive director, all of the organizational components that go into being a part of the Main Street program. So in the fall of 2012, we rolled out what is called our Connect Communities program. And we sometimes referred to as the Main Street Light. We admitted 20 communities in January for the first round of Connect Communities. I am proud to say that my hometown of Cashton was one of those that was admitted to the program. Really our goal with the Connect Communities is kind of still evolving and will continue to evolve, is to be able to offer some of those technical assistance components that we offer to our Main Street communities. Really want to offer access to the trainings that we offer to our Main Street communities. Coming up in a few weeks here, we're doing a training, it's on the other side of the state, that's on creating housing opportunities in your downtown. I think that's a really important thing for a lot of communities. Kind of depends on the size and of course the mix of buildings and things like that, how that actually fits into your community. But those sorts of educational opportunities are going to be critical, and we want to open those up to our Connect Communities program. We have a vast resources through our staff. Myself kind of as the lead, and then of course we have 100+ staff people in our organization. Of course, we have an extended enterprise of economic development folks, our other departments at the state level. That can be a vast resource that we can tap into as well. One of the things that I'm probably most excited about the Connect Communities is the opportunity to bring folks from Cashton and from the small town up north and bring everybody together and learn what other folks are doing, what other communities are doing. I think we all realize that in this in economic development, community development, and tourism, the most sincere form of flattery is imitation. So let's not reinvent the wheel. If somebody's doing something great, let's take that. Let's build on that idea, make it our own, make it better. So that's a little bit of information about the Connect communities. Again, Cashton was in the first round of communities to be admitted. I anticipate that there will be another round of applications that will be accepted later this year. So if there are communities that are interested in taking a look at that, I highly encourage you to find me afterwards. I'll be around all day. Love to talk to you more about that. My contact information is there. The region in orange is my service area. Even if you're not in the Connect Communities program, I've been trying to kind of make my way around to most of the communities, although that's been slower than I would like. But really love to be able to just sit down, chat about what your community development needs, community development vision, be able to, if there are financial programs that might be able to help with the things you're working on, of course, love to be able to help with that, but if there's technical assistance, we can just sit down and brainstorm and throw ideas out there. I think that's sometimes helpful, and love to be able to be that resource. Our Economic and Community Development Division at WEDC, as well as the whole organization, is very dynamic, and we're continuing to look for new, exciting ways to be able to add to our programming, and so stay tuned. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. I'm going to remind you that on each table there are some purple sheets like this. So while you're listening to our presenters, if there is a question that you come up with that you'd like them to answer, we'll try and answer as many as we can here today. And if you would leave your email or some contact information on the sheet and who you're directing your question to. But if you leave your information and we don't get to today, we will see that you do get an answer. Okay, our next presenter will be Julie Keeney, the Executive Director of the Lanesboro Chamber of Commerce in Minnesota. Julie is in her 10th year serving as Executive Director of the Lanesboro Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. The population in Lanesboro, 754. Lanesboro is a historic village nestled in the bluffs of the Root River Valley. Her member-based organization works with 130 businesses. Nonprofits and individuals promote the small town as a culture and arts destination. Julie has expanded regional involvement through a Trail Towns initiative and currently serves as president of the Southern Minnesota Tourism Association, representing 36 counties in southern Minnesota. Julie Keeney.
But I'm the only Minnesotan in the room. Are there any others? Oh, there's one in the very back. Thank you so much for inviting me and allowing me to cross the border. This is an exciting opportunity, and I always enjoy networking with others in the areas of tourism and economic development. So yes, Lanesboro is a town of 754. There are no commas, in that number. We are a very small town, nestled right in the southeastern corner of the state. It just took me an hour and a half to get here today, actually, much less time than I expected. How many of you here have ever visited Lanesboro? Wow, well, you all can get up here and give this presentation as well, but thank you. Glad to see that you have come across the border, enjoyed our state as well, and we also reciprocate and enjoy Wisconsin very much too. Our county population is 20,000, so we do have within our county a number of communities that do embrace both agriculture as well as tourism. And as far as our neck of the woods, our little village of Lanesboro really has kind of the hub. We are very much the heart of the tourist activity in our area. We have the Root River, which is an area that just goes right through our town. We don't have a lake. A lot of times you think of slogans from Minnesota and you think of that land of 10,000 lakes. Well, Fillmore County doesn't have a lake, but we have many rivers and streams. And so the Root River goes right through our town. We also have a waterfall, which is a hydroelectric power dam that generates green energy for our city. Paralleling that river is our bike trail system, and in many ways the bike trail is the catalyst that brought much of the revitalization. Our trail system has now been in place for 25 years, and we continue to work to assure that the rehabilitation and the care of our trail continues through our state dollars. It's a completely paved trail, so it was a Rails to Trails project back in the 80s, and there are 60 miles now that are connected and go through all of southeastern Minnesota, connecting 9 small towns, of which Lanesboro is pretty much in the center of that area. Part of what we watch and track are those economic numbers that help and give us indications as to the activity of tourism in our area. The areas of amusement, recreation, accommodations, lodging, and food service are 3 of the categories that we watch most closely. And to point out, the statistic here in red is in many ways kind of a good marker for us, in that the bike trail system opened in 1986, so we use that in many ways as a baseline to kind of see how the trail, as well as the tourism that followed, has brought economic impact to our area. As you can see from the numbers here, it shows that considerable growth has occurred in the travel industry in Lanesboro, and in many ways has redefined who we are. We can go to the next slide, and this is simply a graph showing how those numbers over time have really proved for us that having the development of tourism brings about great change, and those changes can be very positive in that it keeps your schools open, it keeps people bringing new business to the area. It can also mean cost. There's that balance that we need to always be mindful of, and to create that balance between how we serve our visitors and how we also can keep essential services for our locals. And that, I would say, has been our greatest challenge in our 2 decades of transition into tourism, has been just that, keeping that balance, in that we right now are struggling to keep a grocery store in town. We don't have a hardware store. So some of those essential things that are required for locals aren't right in our town. Now, they are pretty close and nearby, maybe 8 miles or 10 miles away in some of the other neighboring towns. So there's give and take, and with development of tourism also means keeping that balance in check. For Lanesboro, we really see our greatest assets being both with all the outdoor recreation and secondly with the arts. And we have used the arts as a means to set ourselves apart from many of the other communities that anyone would want to visit. We have 2 strong arts organizations in our town, and for a town of our size, people are often just amazed at the high quality of both theater and art experiences. The left here shows the Commonweal Theater, and the Commonweal, incidentally, if you look at that timeline, also opened right at the time when the River Trail opened. So not only do we have bikers coming, then they were able to take in a theater production in the evening, and then they needed to stay overnight. So all of these things really aligned and meant that we had then the need for more places to eat, more places to stay, and it all has really helped to build a tourist experience. The right-hand side shows our Arts Center, and the Arts Center has a gallery, and they feature 80+ artists on a rotating basis with a juried gallery. They also are very active in having art in the park kind of events and art experiences for all ages. Part of the initiative we're working toward, that's fine, is the Arts Campus, and this is a concept where we're looking to strategically shape our community as being the premier culture and arts destination in the Midwest. So in addition to coming for the outdoor experiences, we really pair these 2 and see that that is, wow, my staff must be calling me. I should say staff, I have 1 part-time person. We have to, in many ways, use many limited resources to do a lot. But yes, so with this Arts Campus initiative, we have the goals of not only beautifying, but also of bringing in art-based economic development opportunities. We call it creative placemaking. And with this type of concept, we have not only the gallery I mentioned, we also have studios, we have things like artful pedestrian walkways, so that the art is really infused. And when a visitor comes to our area, they see how there are art experiences across many different parts of our community. The next brainchild and idea is a poetry parking lot, where not only would you come and park in the regular parking space, but you could enjoy poetry and that along the way. We have been coined the quirky crossroads of the outdoors and the arts, and we do recognize that it is that interdependence of all of those factors that really have helped Lanesboro to continue. In the early 80s, when the bike trail first was paved, there were many questions as to whether or not this would even be a good thing for our area. But over time, in these last 2 decades, it certainly has proven to be economically a great asset. So with the bikers coming, and then they're staying overnight as well with the theater and staying over, they need a place to stay. And Lanesboro has been fortunate with our historic homes that many of these have been renovated into bed and breakfasts. We actually, through the legislative process, have been received a proclamation in that we have the most licensed B&Bs of any town in the state of Minnesota. We have 15 licensed bed and breakfasts. We also have resorts and hotels that are all privately family-owned properties. There are no franchises. And that's another hook that we hang our hat on, that we are proud of, that we can maintain individually owned businesses. In '89, we had 9 rooms. That first B&B opened in Lanesboro with 9 rooms, and now we have over 200 rooms right in our area. So again, the demand with more people staying overnight has meant the growth of our lodging industry. And I can't leave without talking a couple points on marketing, because that's my real love for working in this job. We each year evaluate and look at how we are working to put that recipe together, and how do we look at our assets, dramatic scenery, offering authentic experiences. And that's what we find more and more, is that to position yourself that you could say, we are the only community that can offer whatever that is. Now, I saw the Cranberry Festival. That is so awesome, and you're the cranberry capital. You can go to the next slide. We in Lanesboro are the rhubarb capital. So I thought, we should put the cranberries and the rhubarb together, and maybe we could have a pie or something, who knows. But yes, those kind of things that really, people remember you and remember special things. This fellow here actually is juggling flaming rhubarb stalks. Okay, so if you want to come and are able to come to Lanesboro, it's always the first Saturday in June. It's our rhubarb festival, and we enjoy rhubarb in so many ways. You've never thought of rhubarb chili or rhubarb chutney, right? We enjoy rhubarb and really make our own fun. So it's music, it's food, it's a great slice of Americana. So hope that you can come. And I have not been to the Cranberry. I'm pointing over here because you're the group from Warren's, right? I haven't been to the Cranberry Festival, so I'm going to try to put that on my calendar this year. And lastly, I'm going to close just pointing to partnerships. With the limited staff, resources, and dollars that we have in a town as small as ours, we clearly cannot do what we've done without pulling together. The first group are trail towns, though that's the list of the towns that are on the River Bike Trail. The second group, which I partner with, is a group along the Mississippi on the Minnesota side with Red Wing, Wabasha, and Winona. And I heard earlier the mention of the scenic byway, as well as that great river road, which is a phenomenal impact that it will mean for both sides of the Wisconsin and the Minnesota side. And then Explore Minnesota Tourism is our state tourism agency. So with all of these in place, it is what helps our community grow. So with that, I'm going to just close, and thank you so much for this opportunity. If there are questions, I think later we'll have the opportunity to do so. Thanks again.
Thank you, Julie. Just as an aside, another Minnesota event happening this weekend is the International Owl Festival in Houston, Minnesota.
Yes.
If you're looking for something to do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I think it's at it's So elementary school or middle school?
Yep.
Okay. Our next presenter is Marvin Wonders, Executive Director of Outdoor Recreation Alliance. Marvin is the owner of 360 Real Estate Solutions, LLC, which oversees all the day-to-day business operations of multiple ownership entities in which he is involved. In addition to overseeing his business, Marvin is active in the lacrosse community. He has also served on many community committees and nonprofit boards. Currently, he engages in one of his fondest pursuits of healthy outdoor recreation by serving as a volunteer executive director of Outdoor Recreation Alliance of the Seven Rivers region. Marvin Wonders.
Good morning. It's great to be with you. It's fun to talk about two of my loves. One, economics. It is always exciting to talk about. Two, outdoor recreation. And I serve as a volunteer executive director of the Seven Rivers, the Outdoor Recreation Alliance, which is really a collaborative vision of 3 states, Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, 20 counties, to make our area the outdoor destination of choice for people in the Midwest. So that's the vision of the group. This video, if we can start with the video, can tell best, and so we'll get rolling with it right away.
I need to borrow this mic. Split second, okay.
Back in the 1980s, the Seven Rivers region was identified by a brewing company that forever married its cool water and Seven Rivers region to the phrase God's Country. Today, God's Country still describes the authentic terrain and pristine waterways that have created a unique natural playground for the very best multifaceted recreational opportunities. The Mississippi River, our scenic bluffs and backwaters provide an unmatched natural playground for outdoor recreation like cycling, kayaking, cross-country skiing, hiking, bird watching, sailing, trout and fly fishing that simply can't be replicated anywhere but God's country. Of former railroad beds that weaved through backwaters and marshes were transformed into secluded bicycle trails that reconnect families to their own private group ride and the ideal outdoor recreational vacation.
Mountain biking in this region is world class. We have some incredible terrain with great elevations. We have tight and technical trail, fast and flowy trail. It's a great activity to get out and burn up your legs, burn up your lungs, and enjoy a day.
Dedicated area trail builders worked with the natural flow of the terrain to carve out challenging single-track mountain bike, hiking, and running trails. Road cyclists enjoy heart-pounding descents from high atop scenic bluffs that provide sanctuary for both bird watchers and cyclists determined to find the fastest way off the spectacular bluffs that were left untouched by glaciers in our driftless area.
Mornings like this, it's hard to beat coming out and paddling. It's so close to home, 15 minutes you're in the car and you're down here and you're in the waters.
You may lose yourself for a day in the pristine backwaters of the Mississippi, where Indian legend tells that tornadoes never touch down where rivers converge, and trout and fly fishing come as naturally as running and cycling. Our bluffs provide a bird-watching paradise for eagles and falcons, and a challenge for outdoor enthusiasts seeking higher ground and a way to calm the spirit at the end of a day. Beneath the birders and hikers, runners and joggers have access to cushioned trails that wind through forests surrounding limestone bluffs. The Seven Rivers region is a world-class mecca for outdoor recreational opportunities. Man and nature collaborate on an infrastructure that forms the ultimate authentic playground. God's country is nature's place to play.
Yeah, sorry.
You heard Secretary Collette talk about fun. Part of economic development is building community-based amenities that are fun. As you video, it very clearly defines fun. So if you're going to build communities that retain the best and the brightest, and where companies can hire the best and the brightest, you need to build community-based amenities. What you've seen in this video is low-hanging fruit for us in our region. This map tells it very clearly why it's low-hanging fruit. What we have here, and when you look at the map, you can pick out our area very easily. You see that? Everything around us within 8 hours is flat. We're the only place that has elevation and terrain. And if we're not using that to our advantage, we're missing the boat. We don't have to recreate it either. It's there. Mother Nature built it for us. So we have this non-duplicatable strategic advantage. If we can go to the next slide. This will give us the ability, by becoming an outdoor recreation destination, to hire and retain the best and the brightest talent, which is critical. Additionally, as you look around the room, I would encourage everyone next year, and this happens, I get to go to a lot of conferences because of our business, bring someone in the 20 to 25-year-olds and put them in the seat next to you. It's critical for the future of our area that we're engaging that younger generation. And if we want to hire the best and the brightest, and we want to bring them back to this area and keep them in this area, we have to have these community-based amenities, and that's what the outdoor recreation is working on creating. It's low-hanging fruit. The Mississippi River, the bluffs, our dairy roads, thanks to the market, or Milk to Market Act that created all these back roads in our area. We've spent the money on the roads. We just need to market them. 3 things, and there's multiple ones, but just 3 highlights. Bird watching. Are you aware that 65% of all migratory birds in North America go right through our back door? That's a lot. You know what's even more important is bird watching every year produces more revenue than all of professional baseball. That's significant. What are we doing to capture it? Road biking, it's world class. There is no place in the country that has roads, thanks to our dairy industry like we do, that you can have 1 or 2 cars you pass per hour. Do you know that there's professional cyclists that come here to train because our roads have grades that you can't find anyplace else in the United States? They build roads in the mountains and they go to 6%, but they know how to build them there. And that's all they go to is 6%. We have roads that go from 18 to 22% in our area, much like European roads where they have a race called the Tour de France. Most people are not aware of the number of professional cyclists that have trained in this area and how important of an economic impact that can be. Trout fishing, we know the impact of trout fishing to our region. It's a huge impact to our region. It's the amount of money that's spent annually on trout fishing. And these are just 3 examples. And what the Outdoor Recreation Alliance is working on is capturing these, so we are the destination of choice, and so we are the community-based amenity that people choose to live in this area. The community health impacts, we can write intuitively, we can all say we understand that, we did that. And then it's a permanent driver for tourism. We don't have to create this over and over and over. We just have to create it once and become the destination. And then the infrastructure is already there. Mother Nature built the infrastructure. So our goal and our vision is to become the choice destination for outdoor recreation. It's doable. It doesn't take a lot of capital. There's a lot of people working on it. This was started with a small grant by Southwest ITBAC that helped produce this video, helped get our website going. And if it wasn't for that grant, I don't know that how this would have taken root. Since then it's grown significantly. 4 counties, several economic development people working on it. Vicki Markison from the Seven Rivers Alliance. I don't know what we would have done to get this going without you. You've been absolutely incredible. Secretary Steph and Secretary Collette have been more in our region and are attuned to this than I've seen them more than I've seen some of my own neighbors. They are out here where the rubber meets the road working for us in western Wisconsin. So absolutely spectacular. And then the staff of the DNR, they've been incredible. They've been, what can we do to help? How do we bring this together? How do we put this vision together for the Seven Rivers region? So thank you for all the people that are supporting it.
Thank you, Marvin. I know from my experiences with Hidden Valleys and attending a lot of the trade shows, the number of trout fishermen in this area, the number of Class A trout streams is not just something, it's international trout streams we have in this area, especially in the Bergen County area. So motorcyclists come in droves. If you've ever been to the Rockton Bar on a Sunday afternoon in the summer, you'll know what I'm talking about. They serve almost 800 chicken dinners to motorcyclists. So big impact in many, many ways, the outdoor recreation. Our next speaker is Scott Wall from the Bank of Cashton. He is the president of the bank. Born and raised in Monroe County, Scott has been with the Bank of Cashton for over 20 years. Active with community development issues on local and state level, he has assisted Cashton in its development efforts over many projects in the areas of healthcare, organic food development, and library services. Scott Wall.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Great to see a lot of familiar faces. No props for me. I can't outdo the video there. That is fantastic. And brevity is a virtue, and we'll get to some questions here. So if you get those ready here for the panel. It's great to have Jenny Cooter, second generation tourism person right here in Monroe County. So I think we're very lucky to have her. I want to just touch briefly upon a couple things. One is what has been the 2 pillars of Cashton's development. I was looking back through because I felt like I'd been here before, and it was called the Tri-State Community Development. It was at the old ranch house in 1993, and so some of the faces that are still here. So I commend the county for the first thing, which is there's 2 things that I want to highlight. One is you got to have a multi-year commitment to do this stuff for community development, whether it's economic or tourism. You got to have a multi-year commitment. I commend the county for over 20 years of staying true to this. The second one is maximizing existing resources. In Cashton, one of the resources that we had was wind, and so later today you'll hear about a wind development with Organic Valley and Gunderson Lutheran. We're essentially Cashton just took advantage of something that we knew every day as the wind blows. So you don't have to get real grandiose in your development strategies here, just maximize your existing resources. A second one was years ago, 15 years ago, we didn't have any health care. And so Scenic Bluffs Community Health Center was created. In your next panel, Mary Freiberg will tell you a little bit more about the great work that they do, which now results in bringing over 15,000 patient visits to Cashton every year. And so when you look at Lanesboro and you look at what Julie's doing, Lanesboro uses one of their advantages, that their lack of size is frankly, now it's quaint. And isn't that kind of interesting? You look at Warren's. If you haven't been to Warren's, you really need to go to that. It's quite an amazing metamorphosis of that community in that short period of time. So multi-year commitment, you have to stay at it. Later today, you're going to hear from Cecil Wright. Cecil has been instrumental in all of the things that Organic Valley has done with and for Cashton. And it started with vision, it started with what are some of the things that we think really align with the community and their corporate mission and their cooperative mission. And I think it's been an ongoing source of emphasis for the village of Cashton and Organic Valley to now build out what that vision was. And in looking back at some notes, I mean, we talked about wind turbines in 2003, and he'll tell you when they built them. I don't want to steal his thunder for this afternoon. It's a great story. If you haven't come up to see the turbines in Cashton, it's actually kind of amazing. When you come to Sparta, you don't really see it right away until they appear on you. So if you're coming from Westby, Viroqua, you can see them from Viroqua almost. So and it's fascinating how fast it's just blended into the landscape. There's been wind turbine drama elsewhere, thankfully not in Cashton. So with that, you got to get people together over a consistency, and I think one of the hallmarks for Cashton is that you've got leadership which has maintained itself, and so it allows for multiple year projects and build-outs because you're dealing with very similar people over a long period of time. In community development, sometimes you need to wait. Sometimes you push too hard and it doesn't happen. And so that's why you need time to do these things. And so I just want to commend Marvin on what he did with kind of capturing some of our geographic features, and we look forward to your questions, and thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And yesterday I drove to Westby in kind of the drizzly fog over there, and for a minute I thought that was a low-flying plane that went up. Okay. Okay, this one's a comment on Marvin's video. They really liked the video, and they're wondering why maybe this group or somebody doesn't make a tourism video like that video, including recreation, museums, campsites, and bed and breakfasts. I don't know if anybody can really speak to that, but videos are expensive.
I could add, as far as exposure through video, we've learned that as far as any of the searches online, Google, of course, is the first search engine used now, and YouTube is only second to that. So we have a YouTube channel for our community, and I'm sure many of you do as well. And the videos that we produce really bring great connections then back to our website, as well as helping people to learn what Lanesboro is about. So that's been a pretty powerful tool for us.
Okay.
I could add on that video too, that was a collaboration. We needed resources, and we went out to people in the community, businesses, and we said, hey, can you write a check? And they said yes. We needed a helicopter. We called up a couple people and said, hey, we need a helicopter, can you help us? They said yes. So it is a collaborative group effort to make those things happen. It is not the tourism department's responsibility only, it is the community's responsibility, and the community needs to step up to the plate and help fund those things as well. And it has to be a strategic partnership with everyone sitting around the table for the final outcome.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions that you'll address to Marvin. What are your feelings about much of the Wisconsin outdoors being crisscrossed by high voltage transmission lines?
Save that one for later.
Okay, we'll answer that one later. Will community development block grants be only available to regional RLFs in the future?
Good question. As many of you know, WEBC is facilitating an effort to regionalize what is now a disparate pool of revolving loan fund dollars that existed in many communities and sometimes at a city or town or a village level, sometimes at a county level throughout the state. We are working to pull those together on a regional basis. Really with the biggest benefit being that by bringing those dollars together, we are able to defederalize them. Because they are federal dollars, when they are used by a community to assist a business, those dollars have to be used to fulfill certain requirements. Again, meeting one of HUD's what we call national objectives, serving low moderate income individuals, eliminating solar and blight, or serving an urgent local need. And also those revolving loan fund dollars need to be used in a very traditional gap financing capacity at this point, meaning that a business would come to the table with a certain amount of equity, the bank would be in for a certain amount, and then the revolving loan fund dollars would fill the gap. The goal is by bringing those together on a regional basis, those federal strings kind of fall away from those dollars. There's kind of a process that is required to make that happen, but that those dollars would then be defederalized. By doing that, then each region has the ability to be much more flexible in how they use those dollars. I know that the Mississippi River Regional Planning Commission and the Southern Rivers Alliance are really taking kind of the lead at the local level here as to what that strategy will look like. But I know some of the things that will really get focused will be on things like downtown facade improvements. To date, those would not have been things that would have been advisable to use CDBG dollars for, because you would have been required to pay federal prevailing wage rates. So that's something. So micro lending to maybe a small business that's looking to start up, needs a little bit of seed capital, isn't necessarily a candidate for bank lending because they are brand new. So those are some of the things that the regionalization of the revolving loan fund will do. So that is really kind of the business development side of those CDBG dollars. What I specifically work with is our community development CDBG funds. Again, those are things, dollars, the portion of the allocation that we get each year that are used for public facilities. So things like water, sewer, streets. I sometimes work with fire stations, sometimes library projects. Sometimes it's slum and blight elimination projects where we're actually taking down a building or helping with some of the historic preservation, things like that. Again, there are some very specific national objectives that limit the locations and the uses of those dollars. But the community development public facilities dollars will still exist, along with the regionalized revolving loan funds that will be more the direct lending to business.
Thank you, Jenny. And our last question, kind of to Marvin and Julie, is that if visitors choose, do you think visitors choose where they go because of the beauty of the roads as they drive along? And if so, do you work with landowners to keep it beautiful?
I certainly see the impact of our scenic byway, Highway 16, as it goes through southeastern Minnesota is historic Bluff Country National Scenic Byway, and that has brought a number of motorcyclists as well as travelers. As far as the beauty of the area, we are located and gifted with that Bluff Country region with those towering limestone bluffs, much of which just in themselves are beautiful and really draw people. Our bike trail system, as it is maintained by the Department of Natural Resources, certainly keeps a high priority to keep areas clean. We also do a lot of local efforts with volunteers, both for the trail and for the highway, as far as cleanups and maintenance. But I feel that that's not as much of an issue. It's more that we are gifted with the beauty of those roadways.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, I would agree. We're fortunate that our roads were lucky enough to be placed in such a beautiful area. And it's our natural resources that are a great asset here. Those roads provide a tremendous amount of recreation. The number of times that we're out road cycling, I spend way too much time road cycling throughout the year. And the number of times we're passing groups of classic car folks and motorcyclists that are just enjoying our backcountry and stopping at our small, quaint communities and restaurants. Those roads, and thank you to our dairy industry that provided those roads, are a huge asset. We've already spent the money on the infrastructure. We just need to use them to our best economic advantage at the same time.
Okay. Thank you to our panelists, and enjoy your next break.